Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who I Hire, the podcast that has the goal of giving you the cheat sheet on how to get hired by some of the best managers in the best companies we know. And today I have a fantastic guest. Our guest today leads people at Appsilon. It's a data and AI company, and she's been instrumental in shaping how the organization grows and develops and takes care of its people. She came through agile coaching, employee research, and human growth roles before stepping into this leadership role. So for me, it's a fantastic guest that is not only thinking about people, ops, and HR, but fundamentally how the back office of an organization works so that its people achieve its great goals. Magdalena, I'm so happy that you're here today, and thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Hi, Mick. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Perfect. Magda, it's Magda Chabuz. I was so afraid of actually, getting that wrong. So please tell me. So please, Magda, could you tell me in your own words, if you could briefly just introduce yourself and what your role is today?
Sure. I'm the kind of person who prefers to act, not to talk about myself, but just to present my actions as an example of who I am. But yeah, I'm. My name is Magda Chabuz, and you spelled my name correctly. So congrats. Actually, pretty often whenever I book a table in a restaurant, I don't share my surname. I choose my husband's surname because it's much easier. But as a head of people here in Appsilon, um, it's like I have never before been as much involved in HR team as I am right now. Because previously I used to work more in quality management and project management. I used to be a product owner. So right now I like to think and describe myself as a project manager in HR area. So I do projects for people. So I am very focused on people, but at the same time, because I used to work also as a business analyst, I understand how crucial it is to support the companies in achieving their goals. And
Mhm.
all the companies are being created by people, so it's super important to have good people in a very specific roles with a very specific skill set. So this is something I try to bring to the company.
Okay, perfect. So again, I'm super excited. We've known each other virtually a little while now, and we've kind of got a lot of similar thoughts. And I've always thought you were a fantastic, like, great resource for me to talk to about things that we are doing here. So I'm happy you're here to share with the people that matter. And Magda, we always start the episodes the same. Tell me, what are the roles that you are typically hiring for? So the candidates can relate really quickly on the episode to what kind of specialties we're talking about today.
The fun fact about me is that I started to do recruitment processes about 10 months ago. Like, I have never been leading
Okay,
recruitment processes. I was
sure.
supporting recruitment processes.
Yep.
But last year I had to step in as the recruitment lead, as the head of people in the end. So I've been hiring for many different roles. For right now, I'm hiring software engineers. I'm hiring
Hmm.
delivery managers, operations managers. I support sales recruitment processes to the sales team. So yeah, quite a few.
Okay. Okay. But I mean, I like it again because the things that we kind of the recurring topic on the podcast when we talk to managers is that still that variety is challenging for candidates and for hiring managers and for people in people ops roles. We've got and one of the recurring frames that comes up a lot is energy of like treating everything like it's the first time, having the freshness. But Magda, like you've got a lot of experience, even though, and actually, please today feel free to also relate to your experience as an employee, as a candidate. You've got a great experience on the market. You've moved internally, I guess, through the organizations as well. um, how do you feel? How do you think recruitment looks today versus 5 years ago? Do you think it's better, worse? What's got good? What got worse? As from a recruiter standpoint or from a hiring manager standpoint, like yourself, and also as a candidate, like how do you see it?
I think that it's easier for me to relate as a candidate to compare how recruitment processes has changed over the time. Because I remember I was getting back to the job market in 2022, I guess, or
Hmm.
2023, after 5 years in one software house. So it was difficult for me. I knew that the recruitment process has already changed back then, and I was overwhelmed with everything that was happening on the market, because at that time it was crucial to present to your future employee what actually did you achieve in your previous roles. And for example, today, this is an example of a red flag in the resume, because whenever
Hmm.
candidates are pointing that how successful they were with a percentage of decreasing of some kind of risk in their previous work, it's one of the examples when we start to think that that person is probably a fake candidate. So based on that example,
Yeah.
it has changed completely over the time. And as a employer, as I mentioned, I have never been that much involved in recruitment processes in the past. But what I've noticed is that right now we have a lot candidates available on the market. And a few years ago, like 5 years ago, it was more difficult to find available candidates. And the
Hmm.
candidates could change their work every month, and employers were still very interested in hiring them. And as employers, we were looking for new ways of keeping those candidates in our companies for a longer period of time. And right now we are looking for different profiles, I guess, because although there are quite many candidates on the market, they are not fulfilling our requirements, or they are not able to convince us from the very beginning that, firstly, they are real candidates, and secondly, they have the skills and knowledge and openness to what
Hmm.
is truly important in a specific company.
Yeah, I mean, so would you prefer to be a candidate now or 5 years ago? What would you prefer?
I would prefer to be a candidate 5 years ago.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. I mean, there's a lot to take away there that we will dig into, which I think is super important. But yeah, the market is super confusing right now. I think for a lot of people. I mean, I'm deep into the topics, and because I even have a presentation about this coming up, which is, the interesting thing is that if we look at the zoom out data, like EU data, for right now, unemployment is literally the same for the
Mhm.
last 4 or 5 years. So what we are seeing, of course, probably in industries, it's changing a lot. Like you said, in IT, that range is probably higher or lower. But I think that what candidates are doing more than ever now is also they're applying for more job volume, so more jobs that we were seeing than 5 years ago. And I see that therefore uh, employers and hiring managers they have to put more focus on, is this a real person and do I trust those people? Yeah. So if you can, I think one of the questions I have to ask you as well is that you've been doing this for 10 months directly. What's your go-to process right now to try to get someone from unknown candidate that could be fake, could be AI related, all the way to I trust this person enough to hire them and give them the role? What stages do you like to have in place that make you feel the most comfortable in making your decision?
I feel like the first stage, the screening the resume stage, is the most difficult one right now.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes a lot of time, and I know that people think that AI-based tools are making the decision on their own, but from my experience, if any candidate receives a rejection note, that was my decision or my team member's decision. There is no AI tool that is able to make that decision instead of us. It is always there is always a human being involved in making such a decision. So we try to keep our recruitment processes pretty simple, because it costs a lot to get because hiring managers are usually top level managers, and technical recruiters are usually senior engineers, so their time costs a lot, so we try to keep those processes rather simple. However, what we've learned over the past 10 months is that it is crucial to have any kind of task stage for every role, because it
Mm-hmm.
is very difficult to check and to understand what is the real experience of a candidate, and if this is a person then that actually can solve our challenges. And for example, for the delivery manager role, there were a lot of people with project management background, which is good. However, for example, if someone was more focused on being Scrum Master or Agile coach, that was not
Mm-hmm.
something we were looking for. And we could have amazing discussions. However, without a real example of the work that is being done here in Appsilon, it was impossible to check if this is a good fit. And what is important for us, those tasks are not only for us as the recruitment team, but also for our candidates, because with a task, they can understand what the job here looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And it has already happened to me, like not personally, but it has happened to the company, that we hired someone who was great during all the stages, all the interviews, and in the end, it turned out that that person imagined completely different the way we work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lesson learned that we didn't pay enough attention to the task stage to talk about what do we expect from that person. And it's painful not only for us as an employer, but also for the candidate, for the employee, to being unsatisfied from the day one.
Mm-hmm.
It's super difficult. So generally we have 4 stages, like general interview with the people team, and it's a long interview. It's about 40 minutes up to 1 hour, because
Mm-hmm.
our role is to discover the real talent behind the resume and behind the person. So we are not checking if tech skills are good enough. We are checking if there is a potential to grow with the company. The second stage is usually task, then technical interview, and even for more business roles like operations manager or delivery manager, there is also a task. And after the task, there is a meeting with, for example, a technical interviewer or with hiring manager at that stage. And there's always a final stage to confirm that there is a culture fit, because we want to hire people who are smart and kind. It's super important for us, and we understand that because also we experienced that if we let go that stage, it was never good for the company, and
Mm-hmm.
we had to part ways with candidates who didn't fit the cultural profile of the company. So generally there are 4 stages for most of the jobs that we are hiring for.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing for me is you talked about the task there, and you went into depth in the task, and this is something that I've just gone from over kind of a 2 year period of hiring. I used to love the task. The task for me was the one, like you said, and I think it's a really good positive thing that you said here, which is I think that for me the task was about also letting people experience what the job would be like. It's not always a test. It's not always a test of your output and a score out of 100. It's about, hey, listen, this is the key is we need to know that you're going to like this job 3 months from now. This is the kind of thing you're going to be doing. But I have to admit that right now I'm a little bit lost with my task, because in one of the most recent recruitments, the tasks came through perfectly, almost 99% of the time, because we have lovely AI right now. So this is something that I think is interesting, and maybe you can give. I would love to hear your advice here, because again, I know that we're right now living in what I would call a very defensive period of time when it comes to recruitment. This is the way that I would describe it. That everyone's worried that they are going to be like screwed over. Everyone's worried that and I see that even now with tasks, there's um, a lot of fear from candidates that I've seen these posts. Oh well, people are task farming. It's a fake job, and they want to collect all our ideas, our work, and keep it for themselves. I mean, I have no doubts that's not what we are doing in our environment. I think, but do you think there's any, like, from a candidate perspective, do you understand their a little bit fear of tasks or their resistance to do tasks? Like, what's your feelings of that? Like, from a hiring manager's perspective,
Mhm.
you've talked a lot about what the task is for, but do you think that there are employers out there who are abusing the task part of a recruitment process?
Probably yes, because there are plenty of different kind of people in the world. So probably yes, and in every legend there is a piece of truth, right?
Yeah,
So it hasn't happened to me. Like I have never used any idea from a candidate to. I didn't implement it to our work, but for example, at some point we resigned because for the technical roles, for full stack role, our shiny developer roles, and other things, we used to have a home assignment where candidates had to develop their own app. And we resigned from that because it turned out that because we do have AI tools, it's super easy to implement a great app, working app. And during the technical stage, whenever a candidate was asked about the process, it was very difficult to answer. And for example, for the technical roles, we also have a live coding session during the technical interview to
yeah,
understand better how a candidate thinks about problem. What do they do? And it's totally fine to make use of AI tools because we all do that. However, it's great to understand at least the basics and to be able to move forward and to check critically the answer we get from the AI tool. So I understand why candidates are scared of the tasks.
yeah.
But without that, I feel like we all need to understand that we all are human beings. We all are making mistakes, and we all want to prevent us from making those mistakes. And nobody wants to end up with a candidate or employer who doesn't fit.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have to take a deep breath and just deliver what is expected. And what is super important, if you have questions, ask them. If you
Yeah.
struggle, tell us about it. If you need more time because you have some personal things happening in your life, let us know. It's all about communication. And for example, Appsilon is 100% remote company. So communication is
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
crucial to us. So show us how do you communicate with us. Convince us that it is worth giving you more time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I again, I talk about this a lot, and I believe I agree with you. I mean, again, the scenario is here that while we all talk, I mean, just from a candidate perspective, I mean, it's good to know that, like, in lots of recruitment companies, time to hire is a KPI. So that means that our most companies want us to hire as fast as possible. But in terms of building relationships and trust, that's the hardest thing ever, to try to do that faster. Yeah, but I'm so caught up in this topic of the comparison to Love Is Blind. My wife was watching Love Is Blind, and I'm watching with one eye, going, "This is a crazy TV show. What is it? What are we doing?" And I was like, "Okay, so." We're trying to recruit people in 30 days and, make a big commitment to the next job. There's a little bit of similarity here between recruitment and what I'm watching on this TV show. But, Magda, I have a question, because I think this is different for many companies. You said like there's technically like kind of 4 stages in your recruitment process. Is your goal to narrow down per stage to pick the best of the best, or do you feel like your stages are more about just making sure that we only move people forward who are above the bar? And what I mean by the best way for me to describe that is, if you had 20 applications, but they were all perfectly qualified, do you think you would end up having 20 technical interviews, 20 culture fit calls, or is still the goal to narrow down, and lose people at each stage for you?
I'd say that narrowing down is never a goal from my perspective.
Yep.
The goal is to find people who have a great potential to grow within the company. And this is why our general interviews last pretty long. And we do make space for the candidates to show up and to present themselves in the best possible way. And it would be great if we could have 2 or 3 candidates even at the general interview stage and to hire them at the very end. It would be great because, as we've already agreed on, the time cost.
Yep.
And but on the other hand, we also have FOMO, fear of missing out. So
Yeah.
as a human being, I fear that I will let go a candidate that is even much better from the other one. So if I
Yep.
have 20 perfectly fitted resumes, I would invite all of them to the general interview stage. I would share the general interview stage with other team members to help me move forward pretty fast with that. And I believe that the technical stage is also important to narrow down the number of applications, because sometimes it has already happened to us. Candidates, after reading the description of the task, they feel that this is this is something that they wouldn't like to do in the future. Like, this is not the kind of responsibility they would like to take on themselves. So sometimes they resign on that stage, and that's totally fine. I remember during one of the recruiters meetings, recruiters on road, we had the question if the job ad should bring us more candidates or narrow the number down, and it should work the both ways. So
Hmm.
this is how I feel about the task stage and other stages as well. And I really would like to have those 20 candidates at the tech interview stage. And I really would like to have the challenge of choosing 1 or 2 or 5. And we've also learned here in Appsilon that it's important to build long-term relationships with candidates. Because, for example, as you said, it's for some companies, time to hire is a super important KPI. It's not for me, because I prefer to spend more time on looking for a candidate that is well suited for the company, for the requirements, and for the company culture, instead of hiring fast, because then I will have to fire fast.
Yeah.
So I keep an eye on good candidates on the market. I keep an eye on the candidates who are in our database, and I like to get back to those from the past.
I'm gonna come back to that point a little bit later. It's in our discussion and in my agenda. But yeah, I mean, I think this is what I'm trying to identify for candidates. And again, every company does it differently, which is I used to put a lot of connection to kind of like sales and recruitment. Oh, it's just the same process. But the big fundamental difference is, if I want to sell to 20 people, I can, and they 20 people want to buy, I can sell 20 times. We don't have 20 open roles. And what I'm seeing from candidates right now, which is, I know it's a learning curve for everybody, which is, yes, of course, we have those 10 requirements that we need, that you can do those 10 things, but still, when we have more than one person that can do those 10 things, we have to then bring in the other factors that allow us to pick the best fit for the time. Like you said, I was trying to think about this lately, like, um, I was like, you think about the people that are swimming the 50 meters Olympic gold medal race in the Olympics. All of them would qualify to be a lifeguard down the road, but you still want the best one. You still want the fastest one. I think, that's why I'm saying to candidates, like, that's why I understand the frustration. I tick the boxes, but recruitment is not ticking the boxes. It's much more human experience, I think. But what that leads me on to, Magda, here, which is, From your perspective, can you remember, or what are the things that a candidate can do for you that definitely raise their stock, that raise their potential? Do you remember in your experience, what are the things that candidates did that impressed you, that left an impression?
That's a really good question. And because I've already had like thousands of different meetings with different candidates. At some point, I was checking how much time I spent on recruitment meetings, and sometimes it was like 70% of my time per month.
Wow.
So pretty much.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what is important for me, because again, my role is to check the potential of the candidates and how we can grow together within the company. So I would like to learn about the candidates, about the culture, about what drives them, what is important for them in work. And I always ask question, or usually I ask question, what do you expect from your direct manager and from your team to keep motivated at work on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis? Because as I mentioned, it is important for us to build long-term relationship and collaboration, not only with clients but also with candidates, with future team members. And whenever I feel a candidate has the same values as our company, and it's natural for them to follow our code of conduct, this is good enough. And it's an important factor to move forward, because it's a good start for the rest of the potential, because there are a lot of things you can learn how to say how to do the sales processes, you can learn how to do outbound marketing campaigns, you can learn how to code, you
Yeah.
can learn how to talk to clients. But the way you make feel other people, this
Mm-hmm.
is crucial. This is something you can't learn, because if you are such a person, then you are such a person. And it is very difficult to change the way you behave and the way you feel other people together with you.
So Magda, because today's episode is a cheat code, yeah. What is the culture, or the part of the Appsilon code that kind of really connects to you, that a candidate was able to express that they are in it? I mean, is it about? Is it, I mean, again, and I sometimes, I know that this is a very hard topic because it's so broad, but I mean, is it as simply like, hey, listen, when the candidate comes to the interview process, they are really prepared, or they are smiling, or they are energetic? Like, what's the one for you? Like, what's the characteristic, or the action that a candidate has made in the past that kind of made you think that they are a good fit?
It is important to be prepared to an interview at the very early stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you need to learn by heart. Nobody expects you to learn by heart answers. And there are a lot of interview questions available online, and you can prepare yourself. But it's super important to try not to be someone else. Like, I need to
Mm-hmm.
know you as a person. I don't need to know someone you would like to be, because whenever you face a stressful situation, you will be you. No one else
Yeah.
is going to show up there. And when I talk about being prepared, I mean that I need really relevant answers to my questions. And whenever I ask a question, there is a reason behind it, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for experience, a previous experience of a candidate that fits our requirements. And it's important to understand the job description from the very beginning. And I remember when I was getting back to the job market after those 5 years in software house, um, I created a table with all the requirements from the job ad, and I was adding notes with my previous experience that can prove that I truly have the experience and I am a good candidate for the role. And it was super useful, because whenever I was asked the question, can you please share an example of a situation, then I was able to provide a real life situation that I truly experienced, that I truly faced, and I solved.
Yep.
So this is something that is super useful for the candidates. Like, take it
Yeah.
seriously and prepare that way, because we also have our goals. We are looking for a good person, for a good candidate, and we listed those requirements for a reason. So help each other.
And I think this it's so interesting, and I think that one thing I took from what you said previously is that you've done so much of this, right? And I think as a candidate, like, please understand, like, because I always explain this in the same way that sadly I think we have too many candidates who think getting hired is the finish line, not the starting line. So yes, we can try to game the system. We can try to tweak the truth to get over the finish line, but you're going to be found out 2 months later into the job anyway. But also, as a candidate, you've all got those friends, those family members, those people that you met from school who you always felt like, they're bending the truth. As humans, we have a good instinct for truthfulness versus, prepared. And like you said, you've thousands of hours of meeting candidates. You've got a really good, probably gut instinct if someone says something that was natural versus not. And I would say, Magda, maybe I can also flip this around. Is there something a candidate can do to lower their stock with you, to lower their chances? Is there a turn off for you in a candidate behavior other than the extremes of maybe being late or something like that? What can a candidate do when applying for you that it isn't a great idea?
Mhm. Um, it has already happened to me that I rejected some candidates who, mm, from my perspective, they couldn't get along with our code of conduct. And that's the reason, that's the main reason when I reject candidates, except, of course, the situation when I can hear that a candidate has no relevant experience in their previous job, and that candidate is underqualified. But if a person is qualified and shows no respect to other people, and it's super easy to actually give an example of a situation when you didn't respect other people,
Hmm.
and this is a super red flag for me. So at that point I'm like, okay, so thank you, it won't work out for us.
Yeah, again, I think that it's such a complicated market right now. But I have a question that haven't asked anyone before, but you've triggered it in me now a little bit, right? Because I think that I know that it's a very hard market for candidates, but just to give you an insight into how it is for a hiring manager,
Hmm.
is for you as a hiring manager, you are, first of all, you're representing the organization. The organization has rules, regulations, culture that you have to make sure that you abide by. Also, as a hiring manager, when someone's going into your team, you need these people to also be a good fit for you as a human being that you're going to work with. And you are representing two bodies at the same time when making a recruitment process. Whereas a candidate is making the decisions all for themselves. I'm thinking of I was laughing in my head, like, 500 years ago, you represented your family name. So, you didn't have to take that weight of, would my grandfather be disappointed or whatever. But, Magda, like, this is a tough question. So it's okay if we can't get to a direct answer here, which is, when you make a decision, how much are you thinking about what Appsilon would you're representing the brand and what they would want in an organization, in an employee, versus what you also need as a human being? If that was like a percentage, would it be like, okay, well, I pick 70% on what I need and 30% is what the company needs, or the other way around, or maybe it's totally different? It's hard for you as to balance both requirements, your personal ones and the business ones. How does it look for you?
um, Actually, it's not a difficult question for me, because for Absalon, it is important to fulfill all the requirements we have towards people behaving in a very specific way. For
Yep.
example, we have company values described on our webpage, and this is something that is super important for the company culture. We have we are running the performance review processes every 6 months. And during the performance review process, everyone is expected to share their feedback about other team members based on the company values. So we have described what do we expect from people because of those company values. So what are the behaviors when it comes to being kind, taking ownership, and to grow, to be more and more excellent in our work, to excel in our work. And it's important for us as a company. This is a part of the way we work, because this might be unexpected, but all the team members who are hired as software engineers, they work directly with our clients. So they are
Okay.
consultants. So it's super important to represent they do represent the company. So we want to be long-term business partners for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So we need our team members to be a good ambassadors of the company's values and the quality. So it's not that difficult, because whenever I make a decision about a candidate, there is a good balance between what the company needs and what I need as a head of people, because we all need the same things.
Yep. No, I mean, I love this question. I need to dig it. I need to give my brain more time to think, because the reason I was thinking about this is because, because I'm in a small organization as a startup, 27 people. So I can openly and honestly say that probably 95% of the decision is, do I want to work with that person? Just me, Meg Griffin. But I've also had experience when I was younger, when I was applying for organizations, where the hiring manager was like, Mick, I would love to hire you, but these are the processes. And actually, during that process, I didn't get hired. So the hiring manager was 100% bought in, but the company had processes that meant that the company didn't buy in, which was not about right or wrong, but it makes me realize that in some recruitment processes, you've really got the opportunity to probably impress one person and get on board with one person. In other organizations, there's a more complex process. So, this is something, well, I need to come back to this later on, and interesting. But, Magda, one of the questions I ask, which is also important, which is, what are your feelings about under and overqualified candidates? You talked a lot about this screening process being so important, and so on. Do you have experience with, or are you open to hiring under and overqualified people? Is there a limit? Like, yeah, I'm open, but let's be realistic. Especially, like I said, that first screening process now becomes so vital. How does it look for you?
Mhm. So when it comes to people who are underqualified for the first site, um, thankfully I'm working closely with technical recruiters, and they taught me what to pay attention to in the resume. And some of them are heavily involved in the screening stage, so they help me choose good candidates. And
Mm-hmm.
we are hiring people on a different level of seniority. Sometimes we hire more junior people, sometimes we hire more senior people. And it has already happened quite a few times in the past. Then that, for example, during the recruitment process, it turned out that the person is really nice, and we would like to work with that person. However, the tech skills were not good enough, and we always share a feedback. Like, we always share a piece of advice. Hey, these are a workshop you should consider if you would like to be hired in the future. So we let our candidates know what they should improve in the future, so they could join the company in the future. Because the truth is, Appsilon, the core services of Appsilon are a niche, because there are not that many R shiny developers in the world, and we are
Mm-hmm.
hiring worldwide. So it is also important for us to stay in touch with all the people who made good impression on us, and we would like to hire in the future. However, we need them to work a bit more on their technical skills, because it usually works that way. And when it comes to overqualified people, I remember times when I was applying for jobs I was overqualified for.
Hmm.
And I remember how painful it is to be rejected because you are overqualified. And I understand that at some specific times of your life, you may need something that would be less involving you, or you need something easier to do in your professional part of life. So I like to invite overqualified candidates for the general interview to understand better what is their motivation to be not the CTO, but regular
Hmm.
software engineer, for example. Yeah, and I believe this is how Appsilon works.
Okay. No, I asked this because I think this is I agree with the overqualified one. And again, the hard part is I know in the past in my early career I've definitely rejected some overqualified people. And it was for possibly prehistoric reasoning, that we were taught like, oh, they will probably just want to move on when they find a better job, etc. And now, like I said, I think the market is so unique that I agree with your approach. Like we should meet these people, learn their motivations, and trust their judgment as well. But you've touched on this a couple of times over the session today, which is, you know, there is a scenario where you don't get hired today, but this is what you can do for tomorrow. I want to ask a couple of levels of questions so that candidates understand. So, one is when you realize that there's a new need and you are recruiting for a specific role, do you, as a company policy, do you have to open that up? Do you want to open that on the job board and get all the available candidates? Or do you first start going by, is there a scenario where you go, oh, remember that we had that one person who was so close last time, I'm going to go there first? What's your approach to this? Do you want to open the door straight away? Or are you open to previous candidates? What's your style and technique?
Um, we decided to do a few different things at the same time. Whenever
Hmm.
we feel there is a need to hire someone new, to open new position, we are opening the new position to let good candidates know that, hey, you can connect us, and let's see what we can achieve together. But at the same time, we are checking our database. We are checking the candidates that have already applied to us. And we've been using a really nice tool that helps us get through all the applications we already have in our database. So um, it's typical for us to reach out to candidates who used to apply or were rejected, or for example, right now we are hiring a person that applied to us a few years ago, but at that
Hmm.
point we didn't get along with the salary, and right now we are in different places. Like the quite a few things has changed, so right now we are back on the negotiations, and that person is joining us.
Okay, yeah. Again, I get. I think a lot of people think there's probably over. I think candidates overthink what's happening behind the scenes. It's not normally so like, oh, I have a best friend, I'm going to ask them first, etc. That a lot of companies have policies and processes in place, right, to make sure that ultimately the goal is let's find the best person for today. I think that's the theme that comes through. Magda, can someone be hired by you when you are not recruiting? Can has anyone ever convinced you like, oh, we weren't thinking about that role, but wow, like this person did a great job? Like, is it worth, or in your company, is that not very realistic, or how would you approach it?
I think that this is something people do not think about on a daily basis, but as a people team, as a team that needs to think about the future of the company, we need to remember that at some point we might need other people who will replace, for example, the leadership team members. So I'm talking about succession. And it is important. Usually, there is not enough time for all the activities as a people team we would like to take action on. So I would encourage everyone who might think that their skills and their experience might be a good fit for for the company to reach out to us and introduce themselves. But we need to remember that they have to share a good reasoning behind it,
Hmm.
because it's we are looking for a specific profile of people. We need to, like, all the candidates need to remember um, what kind of industry, what kind of companies are our clients, and this is super super important. It's crucial, and understanding the reality of the business we are working with the industry we're working with. It's might be a great example of why we should consider your
Hmm.
application. And I would hire, like, I would definitely to talk to a person that reach out to me directly. However, we need to remember that due to GDPR, we can't process resumes that are not being sent via ATS, and this is a strict rule in Appsilon. If you want to talk, reach out. Don't send me your resume because I can't process it. Let's discuss firstly what do you bring, and I will show you where to apply for a job.
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased here because I have a few friends that reach to me from time to time, as I imagine you do when they're on the market. What should I do? And my always advice is, hey, listen, remember that you can first think, who would you love to work for? And they might not be hiring, but it's worth the question. It's worth it in to reach them first before you go to the job market and adapt yourself to match what the market needs. And yeah, I think I really like your answer. I mean, again, it's that nice ground between you can always do it, but let's be realistic. Yeah, you can always do it, but you've got to do the effort when you're that person. You've got to show the why, the reasoning, the reason to make an exception to what's happening in the business. Magda, before because we are wrapping up here, I've got one other question before we come to the close, which is I'd love to ask you. One of the things I'm seeing right now with candidates is when they get rejected. So candidates are applying, whether or not it's at the first stage, after the interview, whatever it may be. Sadly, recruitment right now, I think that the most recent statistic is there's 242 applications per open job. That's the average now. So that means in my world, I'm thinking, most of my brain is thinking that's 241 people that don't get the job.
Mhm.
What's your advice to a candidate today who gets rejected? Are you open? I mean, I was thinking about this, that we spend a very little time thinking about this. Like, should a like and be very don't be afraid to be specific. Like, do you prefer when a candidate replies to that rejection and says like either thank you or challenges the rejection or ask for more information? Like, what's the ideal way a candidate can actually finish a recruitment with you unsuccessfully, but still have a good step for the future? What do you prefer a candidate to do at the point of rejection?
I think there is no one good piece of advice in that
Hmm.
situation because it depends on the role. And
Hmm.
for example, if candidates apply for technical roles, as I shared, some kind of software engineers, like the rule we have in Appsilon is to always share some links to workshops or other
Yeah.
materials to learn from. So this is our rule. This is something we do. But this is something that is happening after the task stage or the technical interview stage. And after, if I'm rejecting a person after general interview, uh, I try to share as much as I can as it's possible and as it's relevant with a candidate why I decided to reject. Usually, it's pretty simple because we are looking for a person that can be for a person that is much more experienced, and it's super simple, right? Um, and it's fine if candidates reach out to me with a question. Okay, so what do you suggest? It's
Okay.
fine. I like it. I don't always have time to reply because, as I mentioned at some point, 70% of my time during the month I was spending on meetings, recruitment meetings. But it shows me that the candidate is not letting go easily. And for example, I had a situation when a candidate was rejected, and that candidate replied that they didn't agree with rejection, with the reasoning. So we agreed to have another interview, and we hired
Hmm.
that person. And this is a great,
Really?
seriously. And we've been working together for the past few months. And this is a really good candidate because, never mind, let's keep the details. However, I really like the approach, and it was important because it showed us that whenever that person works with a client and client
Hmm.
makes a decision, and we do not agree with that decision, that person will say it out loud. So
Yeah.
that was a great example of showing up, actually. And for the more business roles, sometimes I'm surprised that candidates think that their technical interview or an interview with hiring manager went well.
Okay.
We were asking questions about the domain, for example. What are the challenges in the industry we working with? And there was no answer. For example, oh, like I'm not sure, I'm not involved in that, like I haven't worked in that industry yet, so I don't know.
Hmm.
And they are surprised that we are rejecting them, and we try to be, because, oh, super important note, um last month I was at Lenivce conference, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned back then that if I feel that I would like to receive such a feedback, like a super honest feedback, it works only for me. It not necessarily gonna work for the candidate. And dear candidates, if you expect us to be sincere, to be very honest with you, most of the times you don't want us to be honest, because
Yes.
we would like you, like, this is something important for me, this is something I do in my work. I would like to encourage you to look further, to develop your skills. I don't want to kill your attitude. And sometimes you tell us that recruiters should be super honest. You don't want us to be honest, and it's not like we are hiding something, because we want you to keep looking for the job. You need a job, and we understand this, but we can't hire you because it's not the profile we are looking for. And yeah.
And I mean, this is super. It's super important, and I like this. I mean, again, this is something that candidates have to remember. We are, I believe, as hiring managers, and in your role, we are very careful about the fact that we know that it's very specific to us. So we are rejecting you because of this, but we are not saying you should change as a person. We are not saying you should change your approach to applying, and that's something that it came up in a previous episode. I very much agree with you. I tend for my feedback to be quite generic in terms of they will be specific, but I'm not going to go into detail. And then every so often I have a candidate to say, but can you explain what that means? And then I'll be like, okay, now you open the door. I will tell you very specifically why it didn't work for me. And then like, we'll take it phase by phase, but we are not speaking for every recruiter, every hiring manager everywhere. So we are a little bit cautious of giving you direct feedback because it can be very specific to us, right? And I think that makes sense. But I'm really happy with that story of what you told me about the candidate that changed your mind. Because what I see with some rejections lately is candidates want to it all. I think you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for me, my advice to candidates is what is your intention? Because if you push back because you feel offended, I think you're wasting your time. If you're pushing back because you're like, hey, listen, I still want to work for you. Like this, is there a chance to open this conversation again, like you did? Then you should challenge, absolutely. But I'm for candidates, think what you want to achieve. And if you're like that really frustrated me and annoyed me, and I'm going to tell them that they are wrong, would you like them to actually say, "Oh, you're right, come back in for an interview," or was your goal just to make the recruiter feel bad that they were not smart enough that day? I think that's super clear. But Mike, what do you think? Is that how that candidate approached it? Did you feel that they wanted to continue the conversation?
I feel like most of the candidates I work with reach out to me with that attitude you just described. And one side note, because I don't want to be, misunderstood by all the people that's gonna listen to that episode. Um, we are not judging anyone. We are just checking if someone's experience and skills are a good fit to our role. And sometimes, for example, Appsilon is a company that works very fast. And this is something I learned at the very beginning when I joined the company. Like people were saying, oh, that here we have a fast path of work. A lot of things are happening, and we need to be very elastic. We need to be very flexible. And not everyone gonna succeed in such environment. And
Mm-hmm.
how would you like me, dear candidate, to let you know that from my perspective, you're not gonna excel in that role in that company, because that company, the way we work, the way we are making decisions and taking ownership of those decisions, this is not something you're gonna succeed in. So whenever you have questions, remember why you're gonna ask that question in, and if you are ready for the answer.
I agree, and Magda, let's be honest, the candidate. Like, listen, we are not promising that we hire the perfect person every time. We are doing our best.
Yes.
You may actually be slightly better than the person we hire, and unless candidates want to have 6 month recruitment processes, which nobody wants right now, we have to make our best guesses at the best time. So I think the key is just to be constructive with what you do. But Magda, as we come towards the end of the episode, we end each episode with the questions that with the same topic, which is, what are the 3 things a candidate can do to increase their chances of being hired by you? What are the 3 cheat sheet items that hopefully a future candidate of yours will Google you, because I believe in doing research as a candidate, and they will find this episode of, oh, those 3 things I should do. What are the 3 things that someone can do to get hired by you?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and actually, this is something we're planning with the people team in Appsilon to share on LinkedIn, like to create a few posts about that. So I'm very happy that you are asking that question, because that will be the first step. And dear candidates, whenever you read a job ad, please try to be very honest with yourself if you're a truly real candidate for that role, and try to imagine what you are going to do on a daily basis, if and try to convince yourself that you would like to be a part of it. And I'm not trying to say that you need to be fulfilling 100% of the requirements. It's not about that. But we are listing those requirements because of a reason. We are looking for specific people. So create the table with all the requirements and list the skills and example situations from your past that will help you move forward through the recruitment process. The next thing is that we need to remember that every company works in a wide business environment. And if we have a specific range of clients, and we are a consulting company, we need candidates who are going to help us convince our clients to work long term. So your technical skills, your soft skills usually are not enough. Try to show us that you understand the business environment, the industry we work with. And the third thing would be yourself, because we want to hire you, not someone that you are thinking of when you're trying to convince us to hire you. Um, we need you as a real person, because we are real people, we are human beings, and we can achieve a lot of great things together.
I I like it, Magda, because they all relate to each other. I think it's great. I think the requirements are true. They're not. generated by AI to fill the job description. The second one is, think about the industry, that the business goal is not just about the technicals, but do you understand what the business is trying to do? And why I like it so much is the third one is to be yourself. And part of that can be, if you weren't able to find one and two, probably the real you shouldn't apply for the job. So it's almost like a little bit of a timeline. If you can do one or two and it's yourself, let's do it. If you can't do one or two and it's yourself, don't pretend to be someone that can. I think that was great advice. Magda, listen, thank you so much for your valuable time. I think there's some great advice in there for candidates. I think this is the kind of advice that we need to know, the story that we need to know, what's behind the job description, what's behind the post on LinkedIn. And I think you've given us a phenomenal way of doing that. So, Magda, if someone watched the episode and is interested in working in your organization, where should they go? I guess you have a phenomenal career page. Do they find you on LinkedIn? Where can someone go to learn more about what you're hiring for?
I would suggest to start with a career page of Appsilon. You can easily find it online. You can check our LinkedIn profile, because we inform the world about great things that we are working on right now. So you can understand better what is happening within the company. And of course, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or to my team, to Karolina Nizińska and Sara Juśków as well.
Perfect, Magda. Thank you so much. For you people who listen, if you found this enjoyable, please click like, click subscribe. If you have any comments, if there were things that you said that you want to challenge, we open it as well. Please leave them in the comments. And I look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode. Thanks again, Magda, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.